All right, here we are in Photopea.com. It is free. You can use it on your Chromebook, and I suggest using a mouse if you can. It works very similarly to Photoshop. So, I'm going to be talking about how to do the pet oil painting. And the first thing we want to do is open the two images that we have saved and downloaded into our Google Drive. So I have my old time painting. I'm holding down control and selecting the picture of Lucy, my cat, who is actually right here next to me. All right, I want to resize them so that they're about the same size. So just like in Photoshop, image, image size, and make sure you're in inches. And I'm going to change I want to make it approximately 5 by 7. And you'll notice I changed the width, but the height didn't change. We need to click on the little um, link here, and this sort of glitches every once in a while. So click on the link, and then, yeah, you have to keep trying it until you'll see the height adjusts proportionately. Anyway, dots per inch is the same as pixels per inch. We want 300. We're going to say okay. I'm going to go back to my oil painting here and do the same thing. Image, image size, and I'm going to change the width to 5. And again, 5. There we go. You can see as soon as the bottom one changes automatically, then you know it's going to be the correct proportions. Dots per inch, this one's already set to 300, so I can say okay. All right, I'm going to use my magnifying glass to zoom in. And then when you're zoomed in, again, you press your space bar and you can move around in the image. So I want to get rid of her face and fill it with the background. Okay, so I'm going to grab my lasso tool. Okay, click on it and draw around her face. Okay, I'm being careful, but you don't have to be super precise. Okay, and you can see you get the little dotted line around it, which means you have a closed connection. And I'm going to come up here to edit, fill, and I want to choose content aware. Blend mode normal and opacity 100%. And I'm going to click on OK. And you'll notice it kind of looks like it freezes. This does take a little bit of computer power. So just sit and wait for a sec. If I were more savvy with videos, I would know how to fast forward. All right, so you can see it did a pretty good job here. I'm going to click outside of that to deselect. And how happy am I with this? It actually did a pretty good job down here. Maybe I may come up here and let's see. I might use the clone tool, and I'm clicking Alt in the area I want to copy. And then I'm coming down and just clicking where I want to paste. I mean, it did a pretty good job initially. All right, let's zoom out. We have our headless portrait here. Now let's focus on the portrait of the animal. I just want to select the head. I don't need any of the things in the background. So there are a lot of ways to do this. I'm just going to show you one. All right. We already know about masking, but let's try some masking with this. All right, so all we have to do is click on the little square with a circle in the middle, which says add a raster mask if you hover over it. You'll notice on the layer, there is a white box with a dotted line around it. That means your mask is selected. If I click on the picture of Lucy, The picture is selected, but we want to have our mask selected. Now what I want to do is paint black on my mask, and that will hide what I don't want. Okay, so I need to find my paintbrush tool. And the tools are not in the same spot as Photoshop, so you might have to do some clicking around until you find it. But I've got my brush tool here, and move this a little bit over. Come on. And if you look at the bottom of your toolbar, you've got a black box and a white box. So the black one's on top. That means I'm going to be painting with black. That's what I want. If it's not that way, click on the little attached arrows here and switch them. But I'm already in black, so that looks awesome. And I'm actually going to zoom in just a little bit more so I can see better. Grab my paintbrush again. And I'm going to make my paintbrush a little bit smaller. You use the bracket keys just like you do in Photoshop. And you can start painting. And you can see it's sort of getting rid of the background. Now, if it's a hard-edged brush or it's too sort of soft on, I'll show you. If I do a hard-edged brush, it's going to be looking very cut out. Okay, I don't want to do that. So I want to use a soft-edged brush, and I like to keep my hardness at about 40%, 39, 40, 41, around there. Okay, so I'm going to come here and just continue, and because that gives me a kind of a more natural edge. Still looks like fur a little bit. You are going to lose some of the little wispies. Okay, and I'm kind of going quickly here, but you can be more. So I chopped into her ear just a little bit so I can switch colors and come in and fill. What I've done is filled in the white again. Okay, what I was saying is you can be a little more careful. We can also come in and fix some of these once we combine the two. Look at those eyes. All right, so we've gotten around her head. Now I have to sort of make a decision on how much of her head I want to include. So I'm just gonna, she kind of has a natural V, so I'm just gonna use that. Now I can make my brush quite large to get rid of the rest of the background. And I wanna make sure I'm very careful to do all the way to the edge, because whatever we don't select is going to show up. All right, that's a pretty good selection. And now we just take our move tool, grab that and drag it up to the old-timey painting. You can see I missed a couple of spots there erasing, so I can come back and fix that. Let's go back to our paintbrush. I want to make sure I'm on my mask and paint. All right, so let's move. I think the head's a little bit too big. So I'm going to come up to Edit, Free Transform, and drag the corners in to make it approximately the right size. And then I can even tilt it to make it look, I don't know, a little more natural. Is that a good size? I think that's pretty good. And then press Enter. All right, so that's pretty darn good. I might, again, if I were I would sort of come in here and make my brush smaller and come up here and get rid of some of this halo effect here because we've got a little bit of the background in. All right, and that'll even make it look better. Okay, so we've got our two images combined, and the very last step, we've made sure the size looks good. We've made sure the direction of the head looks good. And all we're going to do next is flatten it. So you see here we've got our two layers. So let's go here to layer, all the way at the bottom, flatten image. Now we have one layer and we can apply a filter. So go to filter, stylize, oil paint. And if I zoom in, you'll see that the program has applied this sort of paint effect over the whole thing. So it sort of combines it and makes it look cohesive. Feel free to adjust any of these if you want. To get the effect you want, press OK. And then in order to save it and turn it in, you're going to go to File, Export as a JPEG. You can leave everything the way it is and just say Save. And then I'm not sure if it's different on your Chromebook. I have to open it and then click on the three dots and save as, and then save it into my Google Drive as last name Pet in my Google Drive, and I'll go to photo class and I'll create a new folder called Pet, and then I'll save it there, making sure it's a JPEG, and voila, you are done.